Well, hey y'all, let's build a pit kit. Got an extraction pit kit, one of the Chevy ones I got from the Hobby Lobby today. I've built several of these already. And there's a couple things that I found when you're putting them together to help you maybe be a little more successful right out of the gate. So the first thing, when I cut them away, I try to leave it all together and just get this top thing off of here. Uh-oh, I didn't cut that very well. So that's not going to be pretty. All right, so get that center tray out and leave everything in there. Make sure you should have 4 springs, 2 short ones for your brushes, 2 longer ones for the pickups, your brushes, this idler gear in there. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is these pickup shoes. So here's the pickup shoes that come with the pit kit. And what I've noticed is when you fit them into the target area in here, there's a little rectangular opening where the hook goes. And it's always a little bit tight. So as Rich suggested, you want to sand it on the sides a little bit. But also, if you look at the very back of that curved portion, there's an extended piece of metal that I whittled down some. Because if you look at an original AFX shoe, you'll see just a hook. No extra metal in the back. Well, that extra metal in the back, that little rectangle here, I'll do a side by side. Let's see if we can get a good side by side. So side by side, you can see the one on my right is the original AFX copper style one. And then you can tell that that steel is has more spring memory than the new ones. This new stuff it's pretty junky metal, but that's why they're $12.99 at Hobby Lobby. So I still try to use the original that came with them. But they have, like I said, at the end of the curved hook, a little bit of extra metal. And if that extra metal doesn't clear the rectangular opening where the spring pocket, behind the spring pocket, you'll see that rectangular opening. And what I'm seeing is sometimes when you just put them in straight from the factory and even get an extraction chassis that runs kind of weird, it'll be in there and it'll be working, but it'll have a lot of extra tension because it's binding on that back rectangular area due to that extra metal that's back there. So what I do is I just go on and take a little metal off both sides, the back, and then I hit the corners and round them with the Dremel. And I'll just do that right now. I use a battery powered Dremel. And this is a Harbor Freight one. I put it on speed 2. And then I just hit the back side a little bit, make that shorter. Just work a little bit at a time. There is quite a bit of extra metal there that's not needed. When I get it down close, I'm sure some of that metal is probably there to give the hook a little structural integrity, but it's too much and it binds. So then I hit the sides, a little bit off of each side so it'll clear, and then hit the corners and make them rounded. And that one looks good. I'll do that other one right quick. Good. Shave the back. Then the sides. And now around the corners. And that will make sure that your pickup, when you put it in the hinge area, yeah, it went in nice and smooth. So if it's too rough while you're fiddling with it, those springs will shoot out and you'll have a heck of a time finding them. So that's why I use this. An orange mat is not the best for copper springs because you can lose visibility pretty quick on here too. But it works. It's got a bit of a lip. As long as I'm working down close, I don't have to worry about it going too far and just work slowly. And then on the back side of this pickup, you'll see, like on an original AFX, it's pretty much at a 90 degree, but if you look at that one, you'll see that part of the shoe is leaning forward. I like to just push it back where it's slightly leaning back, not real far back, but that'll just give you good retention on the chassis hook. Do the same thing on the other one, and you want to do it. I don't like to bend it when it's already in the. You can bend it while it's in the chassis, but you'll see. Let me see. Can you see that? That's a hard time. I'm all backwards and upside down and losing my orientation. There we go. So you can see how it's tilted back just a hair. So those are ready. So now the real pain. The first thing I look at on this, and it's almost always the back pocket, but in this case, the front one's a little high. And what I'm talking about is these little dog bone bent areas here that go around and provide the anchor point for the spring that gives you brush tension up against the armature. If they're too far out towards you, there won't be enough tension and you'll get intermittent connection. I experienced that on one of the chassis. And then the second one I built, the back one was too high. This one's not really too high, but I'll push on it a little bit. The front one definitely is too high. And it's actually rubbing on the plastic. Looks like it's a little crooked in there. Hopefully I got enough tension. So I just pushed them in a little bit. Make sure they're kind of even. You don't want to go too far or you'll have a heck of a time getting the armature on. It's already fun putting that armature on after you put the springs in and the brushes. But you just gotta be patient and work slow, because these little springs and brushes seem to travel when you eject them. It's easiest if you use a non-magnetic pair of tweezers. Then you don't have the magnets grabbing against you. Having a heck of a time with that one. The last one I put together, I got lucky on the first try. But the one before that, it took me 3 or 4 times. You might need a piece of paper to clean your brushes if you see any burrs on them. Just take a piece of standard white printer paper and rub them on there and get rid of the burrs. Yeah. front one's got a lot of tension now. Make sure your spring stays square. The little button goes down. I got a feeling this one ain't gonna be fun. So, right now I have both of the brushes and the springs in the pocket. When it comes to putting this armature on, it's best to have it down and solid, holding the side pieces, because you don't want the chassis to jiggle while you're dropping this in there. Just drop it in front first. Those front hooks, they just go in a little ways. Usually make sure one side of the three-side of that motor is visible in that little window, because the magnet's going to whip it around on you anyway. It might make you flinch. Yeah, it whooped around. Make sure you didn't disturb the brushes. And gently work it to where you can push it down. It's not wanting to go smooth. And I look on the bottom and a brush is either out or sideways. It is out and nowhere to be seen. There it is. So the brush got ejected while I was moving it and it went out through the side. So I gotta put it back in. I suspected that this one was not gonna go smooth because the amount of brush bounce I got on that spring, particularly in the front. And like I said, if you wiggle the chassis too much while you're putting this top armature plate on, it's gonna. So I got it that time, right? And the way I know I got it, before you even put that clip on, if you look in the center of those little dog bone pockets, right, you should be able to see the brush material, not spraying or not voided space. You should see the bottom of the brushes. And I do. And it snapped in nice and smooth. I didn't feel anything crushing. And then turned the armature gear by fingertip. Should be quite easy to turn. If there's any resistance, something's trapped. So now I can put the clip on. I'm still holding it together by hand. Gotta get the clip. This is generally the least difficult part. Just get the clip out past the armature plate onto the edge of the chassis. A little bit further. And the clip is on, except I forgot to put the center gear on, the idler gear. So be sure and do that. And it's a good time to oil it too. I don't have any oil out right now, but that's all right. Try to keep it short and sweet as I can here. So I'm pulling the clip back up. All right, slide that. front hooks doesn't look like it's under. It should be. Okay, no. It's under. Yeah, you want to make sure that the front hooks are under, or the front tabs are under the hook, which it is. Still spins freely. I always put it on with the larger hole down. Put the back clip on for the second time. Spin the back wheels. That feels like about the right resistance. A little bit of resistance, not a whole lot. If you get a whole bunch, it's hard to turn that wheels. Again, there'll be something wrong with the brushes underneath. One will have gone sideways or popped all the way out and you're just running on the spring. So next we need to put the pickup shoes on, which is almost as much fun. But since I whittled on them pickup springs, pickup shoes shouldn't be as bad. So again, hold the chassis down low. Want to hit it at a real high angle. Put the edge of the hook into the slot. Tilt it down. Then you'll have to pull the front of the shoe over the hook. And there's one in operation. You can see. And it's got a nice spring tension. So when that back part hasn't been trimmed up, sometimes that rectangular extra metal back there hangs up in that rectangular opening, and it still bounces on your spring, but it's also the tension is too high, and your car will be like popping a wheelie on the track, either on one side or both sides. So if you get that, that's typically what it is. Your shoe needs to be sanded at the back, sanded, ground down, use a file, whatever you have available. The Dremel makes the job really quick. Oh, come on. So I'll drop my spring. Give me a better pair of tweezers. Get the spring in the pocket. Well, that went far too quick because the spring popped out. Like I said, you want to work low because that spring will travel. I already bumped it again. Okay. Try this different. Take a little bit more off of that one. Get this again. Having difficulty getting this pickup in there without losing the spring. Like I said though, once you got it in the pocket, you got to try to avoid touching it, because just the slightest touch and it jumps right out of the pocket. Like that. Goodness. And it needs to be in there when the pickup goes down. Oh, darn it. I don't know what's going on with that. All right, I finally captured it. And that second pickup still had a little bit of a burr on it. And when striking the edge as I was trying to put it in, and then just a small bump on that spring and it'll jump right out of the pocket. But it's perfect now. So if I was to take a battery now, it's about 100% chance it'll run. I say 100%, as long as the armature is good, and it does run. So that one's done. Next you put that flag or pin in, whichever you want. I usually have to use a screwdriver to push it in. Snap in and it's free, that's good. Next we put the tires on. Back tires have an inner groove on them. Those go towards the inside on the rear, on the hub. You see that little rim on the hub? There's a bevel inside the tire on the rear ones. The front ones, I haven't found a bevel. They look the same on both. Well, actually, there is a slight bevel on that one, you can see. So that would go to the inside. I have to double check those ones I did earlier. Yep, I see the bevel on that one. And of course, check it again with your battery. And there you go. But I had one of the first ones of these I did. I wrestled with that for quite a while, and I realized what was going on. So you prep them pickup shoes before, and like Rich said, you can get some replacement ones from Viper or Scale or whoever if you want to buy a whole bunch of them. But my whole thing is this is a $12.99 pit kit. That's why I buy them, to get them as cheap as I can. I can put whatever bodies on them I want or modify them. And they will run. You might have to work on it a little bit. And I haven't got a Auto World pre-built one that didn't function in quite a while. But these chassis still got 2006 on them. So they've been on the same molds for that, and probably the same presses for them pickup shoes for a long time. And that's why the edges are really rough. But that tin metal they're using is really, really thin. So if you get a bunch of AFX quality ones or good aftermarket quality ones, you'll probably have less of an issue. And I'm sure if you look at it, you'll probably find that there's no additional metal after that curved hook in the back. That seems to be 90% of the reason why I have trouble getting them in, because the stamping and cutting inconsistency of the pocket on the chassis and the individual. But once you get them right, they run pretty good. I got to give them credit for, as cheap as they are, they're available. I know a lot of people hate them, but I don't really build up high-end chassis. If I want to run good ones, I just run Lifelikes or Tycos or whatever. But I don't really hop them up. I just enjoy the availability of them and being able to do it. I know it's frustrating though when you put something together. My buddy Don said a couple of his, the wheels didn't turn. So he can look at this video tomorrow and he'll know what to look for. And have fun with y'all's pit kits out there. I got a whole bunch of extra Chevy bodies because I'm not really a fan. Does anybody know what that extra piece is for in this Chevy pit kit? I know you got a back wing, but what in the world is this piece of plastic for right here? Looks like a stand. It can't be a front bumper. Oh, never mind. I might have just answered the question. Oh, yeah. All right. I guess it goes on that affair right there. I don't know. It fits on those two straight pieces. Kind of like a rear air dam or something. Like I said, I hadn't actually put one of these on a chassis and run it. I got a bunch of other bodies that I've been using these chassis for. So that's it, y'all. Let me know if you got any questions on there. If you got additional tips. I know if you have to remove these axles, because sometimes you got to change the wheelbase. There's 3 different holes. Man, that little pin, that's the axle. When you pull that wheel off, it's very easy to bend, and you got to straighten it back out before you repress them on. So I think even that pin quality is a heck of a lot cheaper than an original AFX axle. But it can be done. You just got to go slow. Make sure your wheel hubs, this one's pretty good. The wheel hubs are all true. This will probably be a good running chassis right here. All right, y'all. Take it easy.